Well, hey there, and welcome to the channel where you will find love, laughs, and DIYs. My name is Crafty Kathy. I am the owner and creator of Kids Vintage Farmhouse here in Chattanooga, Tennessee. And I am just tickled pink that you stopped in to craft and spend a little time with me today. This video is a special collaboration for Makeover May. It's hosted by Brandy at the DIY Struggle, and this week's makeovers are all primitive. I'm going to start off with this large size tote bag that I found at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. Very cute, and it's got two sides, so there's actually two pictures that you could make if you wanted to. And then I've got this wood panel that I found in their section where things are $3 or $5. And of course, this was just $3. A lot of people use these for trays and such, but we are going to make a gorgeous wall sign out of this. So let's get started. First off, I've got to get my little ruler and measure the inside portion of this wood panel. I want to see how big that I've got to cut down my little bag. And it's going to be 10.5 is going to be the length, and 10.5 is also the width. Then I'm going to use my little measuring tape, and I'm going to go up my bag and just make a couple marks so I know exactly where to cut at. And I don't know about you, but I have to use some type of a straight edge, or else I cannot cut a straight line to save my life. And I do have one of those little paper cutters, but I've lost it somewhere. Can you believe that? So I just use my scissors and cut it off, but it don't matter. As long as that picture comes off there, we're doing good. I'm going to grab my jar of my Waverly Antique Wax, and this is very heavily watered down. I've got half water and half wax in this jar. What I'm going to do is go all the way around the edges, and I want my edges to be dark. So I'm not even going to wipe any of the excess off with a baby wipe or anything. I'm going to leave it just like it is. However, I am going to put a little bit of it here in the center, and I'm just going to use a baby wipe to kind of rub that color around. There may be just a little bit where I cut my bag down just a little bit too short on the top or on the sides or something, and we definitely don't want that wood panel to be showing in its natural color. Then I'm going to grab my Elmer's glue stick, and I'm going to go all around the back of my bag. I'm going to pay special attention to make sure that every single edge on this backing is covered with this glue stick, because we want to make sure that it's going to stick down really well. And I just laid it down, and I kind of start off in the middle, and I even it out with my fingers and my hands just to make sure that there's no wrinkles and bubbles. And then I just kind of run over it with the brayer real quick. If there's one thing I know about primitive decor, they use a lot of rusty old stars, and I absolutely love it. I got these off of Amazon, and they came in a pack where they had these smaller ones and bigger ones. And what I'm going to do is just go around with my hot glue gun. I'm going to stick one of these old rusty stars on all of the corners of my cute little picture. And when I get to that left upper corner, I'm going to use some of this super moss, it's called. I got it at Hobby Lobby, but it's actually just Excelsior. It's probably just a little bit finer. I'm going to put just a little bit of it in that upper left corner, and I'm going to use one of those larger stars over the top of that Excelsior. Now, that's another thing that I've noticed with the primitive decor. They use a lot of that Excelsior. And honey, I am here for it because I absolutely think it is beautiful. And it just brings something cute to your piece with that added texture. So I'm going to add just a little bit more right over the top of my star and kind of underneath it. I just put a little hot glue on it and kind of stuff it up under there, and then cut off any pieces that I think are too wild and wiry looking. And it's been a while since I've embellished anything with my buttons. I can't believe it. So I pulled out a red and a blue and a white button, and we're going to put those right there beside that larger star. I first put down my blue button, and then I put my little red one up kind of on top of it, and almost in the center of the two, I put the white one. I like to put my buttons almost on top of each other, but scoot it over a little bit so you can see all the colors. And then I went ahead and added one more of the small stars on there. I'm going to outline the inside portion of this picture, and I'm going to use this jute cord that I get at Walmart in their crafting section. It's a little bit thicker than the normal jute cord from Dollar Tree that we use, and I'm just going to go all the way around my picture with that little cord. Now the last thing that I'm going to do is add a little hanger to the back. I get these hangers off of Amazon, and they're in my Amazon store in case you want some. It's the kind that's got the little nails kind of built into them already, so all you do is pop it with the hammer, and voila, it makes a perfect hanger that's going to be good and sturdy. I sell my pieces, and I want to make sure that they're good quality. And I only have $4 in this whole piece. I hope you like it.
She thinks I'm a little lazy. I think she's a little crazy. We like summer and we like spring, watching wrestling in the ring. She ain't shy, she speaks her mind, tough as nails and smooth as wine. We burn hot as kerosene, baby, we got our own thing. She ain't skinny and I ain't tall, and that don't bother us at all. I run naked through the yard, she flash every police car, drinking wine and getting tired, shooting out the damn street.
Second one's going to be a beautiful wood round for your front door. I needed to come up with a dark blue that was close to the color of navy, but I didn't have anything. So I used the color Blue Iris by DIY Paint, and it's a gorgeous blue color, but it wasn't exactly what I was wanting. So what I did was just take some of this cheap folk art acrylic paint that's in the color black, and I just put a couple of dots in there and mixed it around, and it actually came out the perfect color that I needed. The other day while I was strolling through Hobby Lobby, look what I come across, and it was only $1.74 on clearance. I had to get it because I knew it would make a perfect Patriotic piece. So what I'm going to do is take that blue color that I mixed up, and I'm going to paint all over this United States. I'm going to do the front and the back and also the sides. DIY paint is clay-based, and it always dries lighter than what it looks like it's going to be. So can we all just take a moment to appreciate the beauty of this blue color as I dry it down for your viewing pleasure? Then also at Hobby Lobby, I come across this little wood sign that says blessed, and it had $1.49 on it, but it was 50% off, so I got it for like, what, 75 cents or something, which is crazy cheap. That's half of what you would pay at Dollar Tree, and it's a good quality piece. And what I'm going to do is take my DIY color called beadboard. It's an off-white color, and I'm going to give this 2 coats. And just in case you're looking for some of this DIY paint, or actually a lot of the craft supplies that I use in my videos, I get them from my buddy Lori over at www.miltonsdaughter.com, and I'll leave all that down below in the description box so it's easy to find. I'm going to take my tape and I'm going to measure off probably about 1/4 of the way down on my sign here. I don't never measure out this part because I kind of like to walk on the wild side, and I like it when it's perfectly imperfect. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take this wood tint color that's from Folk Art. It's about the same thing as the Waverly Antique Wax. I'm going to put some on the bottom part of my wood round and use a baby wipe to rub it in, which makes it like a stain. Then I'm going to take that piece of tape off, and I'm just going to go right at the very top right there so that I can put the other color and it doesn't mix in with the stain. And the only red that I had was this color called Imperial Red by Folk Art Home Decor. And what I plan to do is just put it all over the top of my round. but it's a really bright red. And the thing is, I know that that's kind of the color of 4th of July. However, we're doing primitive stuff and it's got to be kind of toned down. So while it was still wet, I just took that baby wipe that had that brown stain on it and I went all over this. And then I also used my paintbrush and just kind of went all over the top here and rubbed it in so that it would get some of that brown mixed in with the red and come up with a little bit of a more muted down version of that imperial red. Then I'm going to take some of that stain and I'm just going to go around the edges of the United States here. I'm going to use this little, it's like a little makeup brush. They say you can get them at Dollar Tree, but I got mine off of Amazon. They're in my Amazon cart. I have all different sizes and they're really good for shading brushes. Then I'm going to take some of my hot glue and I'm just going to put it all over the backing of this United States. And I want to put it down a little bit further on my wreath here or my door hanger because I want that red to really shine. And plus I decided to put a bigger bow than what I usually do. Then I take the word blessed and I'm going to put it right in the center of the United States. Then I'm going to take an uneven number of these smaller rusty stars and I'm going to put them in the upper left-hand corner here of the United States where they're at on the flag. And I decided to put 2 and then a row of 3 and then a row of 2 because I think that looks good. And I always try to do kind of uneven numbers because like I said, imperfectly perfect just looks right to me. Now I'm not the best person in the world to make bows. Now, I'm going to try to fight with this bow dabra. I got it off of Amazon about a month ago. And for the life of me, I think I do better making my own bows without using this thing. But since I paid for it, might as well use it. And what I'm doing is just taking these 2 strips of ribbon. And I think these ribbons come from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just sticking them down in this bow dabra. And they're going to act like tails. Then I'm going to take just different ribbon that I got. I got this ribbon from burlapfabric.com. They sent me this beautiful red and white striped ribbon. And what you do is just kind of make your bow in that bow dabra. Now, like I said, I'm not the best at making these bows. I think I do better off when I make it without this. So I can't really even tell you how to use this bow dabra because honestly, I don't know if I'm even using the thing right, but I'm doing the best I can. I make my loops up at the top and then at the bottom, when you come through there, is how you make your little tails. And you know that this little mesh looking ribbon, it came from the Dollar Tree and I really like it. It adds a lot of texture to your ribbons and I think it's beautiful. After you get all your bows laid down to your liking, you pull that first piece of jute string up that you laid down and you just tie it all together. But then I wanted to make one larger size bow because I didn't think that this was substantial enough. So I'm going to go right back and make a bow with this beautiful ribbon that I got from the Dollar Tree. And it's just going to be a larger one that I'm going to attach with some jute twine to the top of that first bow that I made. So we're just going to have a big old huge bow up on the top. So after I get it all tied up and fixed up the way I want, I'm just going to put down a pretty big glob of glue on the very top of my little door hanger here. And that's where my bow's going to go. I'm going to fluff it out a little bit and then I'm going to dovetail the ends. Now, if you don't know what dovetail is, I'm going to slow it down a little bit so you can see. But basically, it's just where you take your ribbon and you fold it in half and you cut it upward at a small slant. And that's going to create just a pretty bottom on here. Now, you don't have to do a dovetail. You can just cut it at an angle or just leave it the way it is. Just do it however you like it because it's your project. I'm going to paint one of these medium-sized wood stars in that blue color. Now, I got this pack of stars at Hobby Lobby. It has larger ones, medium and smaller. Dollar Tree isn't always the best bang for your buck. This thing was half off of $1.99, so I literally paid 99 cents for a pack of about 10 stars, and they're different sizes. A lot of times at Hobby Lobby, I find a better deal, and it's definitely better quality, so always check that out. I'm going to take one of these larger rusty stars, and I'm going to glue it right to the middle of my pretty little blue star. Then we're just going to place that right in the center of that big old whopping bow I just made with my great Bowdabra. And I think it looks really cute like that. Even in spite of myself, I think I made a decent bow here. And I'm just going to kind of fluff it up and make it pretty the way that I want it to look. And I am very proud of this so far. But you know, since it's primitive, I wanted to add some of that super moss, that Excelsior, and I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the very ends of it and just kind of tuck it all around that big old blue star, and that way it's going to bring some texture to it, and it's going to look really pretty and very primitive. And does this ribbon not just scream primitive to you? It really does to me, and I'm kind of shocked that this came from the Dollar Tree. I kept looking at it because I thought I got it from Hobby Lobby, but apparently I did not. Then if there's any ends of that super moss that looks wild and crazy, you just trim them off to the way that you like it. And here is the cutest thing. I found these little firecrackers, y'all, at Hobby Lobby. There was about 5 or 6 in the pack, and with the 50% off, I think I only paid about $2 for them. And I'm going to stick one each of these cute little firecrackers on each side of that blue star, and then I'm just going to use a simple ribbon on the back, and that's how I'm going to hold this sucker up. And then I always like to put just a little piece of cloth or a little piece of ribbon back there, and it just helps to hold it. And then I even take a big piece of a popsicle stick and slap that right on the back too, just for some added security, y'all. You can never be too careful. Especially if you're trying to sell your pieces, you don't want to sell something that you're going to hang up and it's going to fall over, because nobody's going to want to buy that. So just make sure that you do a good job the first time, and it's just a lot easier that way. I hope y'all like this one.
Do you ever feel you don't get out what you're putting in? All your hopes and efforts are all in vain. Who will pick you up when you've lost everything?
Third one is going to be a gorgeous little shelf sitter or table decor. This one is going to be super easy. You're going to need some white color paint, and I'm going to use the off-white color by DIY called Beadboard. I'm going to use some DIY liquid patina, or you can use Mod Podge. I'm also going to use this pack of napkins, and I got these from the Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to use this little palette that came from the Dollar Tree, and of course my little rusty stars or whatever embellishments you want. And the very first thing I'm going to do is use my color beadboard, and I'm going to give this palette 2 coats all over. The next thing I'm going to do is separate my napkin. I opened just one of those napkins up, and it's got 4 different scenes of the flag on it. And I just squirt a little bit of water on my table there, and I use a paintbrush to go and kind of outline where I want my napkin to be torn at. I do not do straight edges and cut my napkins. If you guys have ever watched me decoupage, that's one of my #1 rules, is that you absolutely do not have straight edges. And then I'm just going to tear the ply off. Now, this is a napkin from Dollar Tree, so it's only got 1 ply. And you know when you've got all the plies off the back, because you can just about see through it. And what we're going to do is decoupage this napkin down to our beautiful palette, but make sure your palette's dry. I'm going to put some of that liquid patina down, and I'm just going to put a little bit. It doesn't take much at all. Then I'm going to grab my napkin, and since the palette is small, I'm just going to go ahead and lay it down. A lot of times I work in small sections, but since this is small, it's going to be fine. Now, keep in mind, this is a Dollar Tree napkin, so the very first thing it wants to do is wrinkle whenever it gets that Mod Podge on it or that liquid patina. So the way that you stop those wrinkles is you pull out your saran wrap, and I just kind of pull it taut over the palette, and it pulls the napkin down, and it takes out a lot of the wrinkles. If that don't work, what you do is you just lay your saran wrap down, and you use your finger like a little fat iron, because the heat from your finger is just going to kind of push that napkin down into the Mod Podge and take away any wrinkles. You never want to touch a napkin if you don't have like saran wrap or something, because all you're going to do is just pull that napkin right back up. It's going to stick to your fingers, and you definitely don't want to do that and mess your project up. But all I did is just kind of fooled around with this a few minutes and made sure all the wrinkles were totally out. Then once it's absolutely dry, I go through with my X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to tear or cut, I guess I should say, through the little palette places there. Now, this is really sped up, so just remember, I'm going really slow right here. And then I'm going to take my little hand sander, my little zipper sander, or whatever that thing's called, and I'm just going to sand this, and I go in a downward motion away from that napkin so we make sure not to rip it. And I'm just going to get all the extra little pieces of napkin off there. And it was really hard to get all those tiny little pieces out in between that palette. So what I did is I used a little bit of that liquid patina in my brush and just kind of pushed it back so that it would lay down and stick to the kind of like the inside part of that palette. And that way the palette would be to where you could see through it, and it's going to be cute and perfect just the way that I wanted it to be. Now, I bought this amazing resin off of Amazon about a month or two ago, I guess, and I have been dying to use this stuff, and this is the perfect project to use it on. Now, this is the resin that says that it can dry within 10 minutes. So, you know what? Let's check her out and find out. What you do is you have a bottle A and a bottle B, and all you do is put equal parts, mix them together, and you just mix it up real good and hurry up and pour it in whatever mold you're wanting to get it in. So what I did was I poured a little cup full of part A here. Then I'm going to grab my part B. I shook it up, and I'm going to pour a cap full of that in there also. And then it says to mix it up until it's like clear. And so that's exactly what I did. And y'all, I could not believe how fast this stuff set up. It was really amazing, because normally you have to leave it alone overnight and let it harden. Not with this stuff. It literally does exactly what it says. So I'm going to take these little molds that was sent to me by Hippie Crafts, and it's just the alphabet. And what I'm going to do is pour it in USA. I had some left over, so I just grabbed this little ice cube molding tray that I got from Walmart, and it's got butterflies and bees on it. And I just had enough to pour one little bee and then like a half kind of a butterfly. And look at this. This stuff was already hardening up on me. And all I did was just like pour it. And I was trying to go quickly too. So this stuff is amazing. And no sooner than I had poured the U, S, and the A, and then that little butterfly and the B, I could take these out. They were already finished and done. You know they're done when they're white. I'm going to take the USA, and I'm going to take this wood tint by Folk Art. And since it's white, I'm going to go over it in one brush stroke, like straight up and down, and going to try to give it like a wood tint, if you know what I mean. If you do something if you have a white background and you go over it with like the antique wax or with this wood tint and you go in a one direction, it's going to almost look like a wood tint kind of effect. And that's what I was going for. And so I just went ahead and coated these USA with that. I took the wood tint that was left on my brush and also that little makeup shader that I like to use, and I'm just going to go around the flag really quick and kind of blend it in and make it kind of look a little more old and worn. I like that, and that really lends to the primitive look of it. Then I'm going to take some of that awesome super moss that I've got, and I'm going to place a little bit of it up there where the stars and the blue is, up in the upper left-hand corner. And then I'm going to take one of the larger rusty stars and one of the smaller rusty stars and stick them up there. Then I just took my small pair of scissors and kind of cut off any crazy looking areas that were sticking out too much from that Excelsior. And then I'm going to take USA and I'm going to just hot glue that onto my little wood palette. I'm going to take a couple of these little tumbling tower blocks that I already had stuck together. There's actually 4 of them here stuck together. You really don't need that many, but since mine were already stuck together, I figured why not just use it. I put a little glue on there, and I just kind of angled my palette in a way to where it wouldn't be standing straight up. It's going to be kind of, at a little angle. And that way, my palette is going to be able to be a shelf sitter or like table decor. Then I just quickly go around everything and the little tumbling tower blocks there and just make sure that I stain it real quick. And that's all I did to this one, and I think it is adorable.
Well, I wanna take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind. Take me all around to the thinking places where you spend your time. Ain't no place I'd rather go. You're a funny little critter and I love you so. And I wanna take a ride in the wheelbarrow in your mind. I come and sit down with me in a rocking chair.
Now the very last one is so quick and easy, I don't even consider it a DIY, but I'm going to show you how I did it anyway. For all my little vignettes, I love to decoupage with either rice paper or napkins on my candles. And look at this. If you use a glue stick or something very light, you can peel it off for each season anytime you want to change them up. That way, you don't have to keep buying candles. I always use the battery-powered candles, and I'm going to use this napkin. It's so pretty. I found this at Hobby Lobby, and I think it was about maybe $2.50 for a pack of 50 or 100 napkins in there. The first thing that I'm going to do is just put a little squirt of water on my table, and I'm going to use a little skinny paintbrush. I'm going to go around each of the images because we don't do straight edges. And then all I'm going to do is just rip off those edges, and just be careful because when it gets very wet, you can rip your image. This is very sped up, but just go kind of slow and rip off your little images. Then you're just going to separate all the plies. Now this one only had 1 ply on the back of it. What I do is put a little liquid patina on my thumb and pointer finger, and it just helps me to be able to grab onto that and separate those layers. And what I'm going to do, a lot of times I use a glue stick, and you can use that, but I'm just going to put down just a little bitty dab of liquid patina, rub it down, and then I'm going to lay one of the little images down and then just kind of go over the top of it with my liquid patina. And then if there's any wrinkles or bubbles, to use that saran wrap. Just kind of pull it taut and do exactly like I told you before. Use your finger as an iron. That heat from your finger will help get any of those wrinkles out that you may have. When you have smaller images like this, instead of trying to put that whole image on there, that's what I like to do, is cut out the images separately. Now, by all means, if you wanted to do it the other way and put the whole napkin on here, you can. But to me, I just think it looks better this way, and that's just a personal opinion. So do it the way you want to do it and the way that makes you happy. After I finish the first one, I do the exact same thing on the second one. Now these candles, since I use them for different seasons and I put different designs on them like you saw a minute ago, they already had jute twine just kind of wrapped around the top of them a couple times. I think that looks cute and it just brings a little something to the table. And to keep that primitive flow a-going, I thought it would look really cute to put a little bit of that super moss up at the top and then one of the stars. On the larger candle, I put like a bigger star, and then on the smaller candle, I decided to put a smaller star. And of course, if any of that super moss is sticking out and looks kind of crazy, I just trim it down with my little scissors. That's absolutely all I did to this. It's super easy and it's really cute in your vignettes. I hope you like this one. Hey, if you stuck with me through this whole video, I just want to say thank you for coming and spending your time with me today. I appreciate every single one of y'all. And if you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe, because those two things really help my channel out so much, and it pushes me out there in front of people who've never seen my content before. I love y'all. Don't forget that my videos are every Monday and Thursday. I love you. Bye.